With all of the focus on COVID-19, it's important to remember that West Nile virus can also be a concern at this time of year. Andrew Renfro is the city's vector control coordinator, and he joins us now. Thank you so much, Andrew, for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So let's start with one question we're hearing a lot. Can mosquitoes transmit COVID-19?
No, there's a lot of internal processes inside a mosquito that have to happen for them to be able to transmit a disease. COVID cannot be carried by the mosquitoes of any kind. If you go to the CDC website under frequently asked questions, this question does appear and does have that same response.
That's very good news for all of us, I'm sure, but that means that the issue, of course, is West Nile virus. So what happens when the city or county detects an infected mosquito?
So the city has 19 traps placed every week across the entire city of Irving. Whenever we get our positive responses as given to us by testing labs done in Dallas County, those come back to us. And once we have positive, we go after 9 p.m. The city goes out, takes a truck, hits all of the areas that night within a 48-hour period of getting those positive test results. And then we retrap that area and make sure that those come back negative for West Nile.
Okay, so I'm sure you get questions about the spray. Is there any concern for people or for pets?
No, actually, so the EPA regulations do not allow chemicals to be made that will really cause a lot of harm. That's never going to be a concern with spraying unless you go directly from the nozzle that we're spraying and breathe really, really hard while the spray is coming out. Truly, these chemicals are not harmful for the environment, for people, or for animals. Now, that doesn't mean we ask that you go stand outside when we spray. We really would like you to be inside to minimize any potential risks or any other factors that may be involved. But no, if you follow standard procedures, these chemicals are not going to be harmful that we're spraying at all.
So along with the action that the city takes, like the spraying and continual testing, what are some things that viewers can do at home?
So there are process that we call the 4Ds. We've been preaching these in the program for a very long time as I've looked at the history of the program. Dawn and dusk are the most active times for mosquitoes. There are midday mosquitoes, but they are few and far in between. DEET is a chemical additive that you want to look for in mosquito sprays that will keep mosquitoes off you as a repellent. Drain all of your water. That is another thing that will really help get rid of any type of mosquito larvae from forming. And then also your clothes, your dress. I know Texas heat, it can be extremely hot and extremely daunting to want to wear long clothes and pants. But if you're going to be working in those times and have a fear of being around mosquitoes, long pants, long shirts.
Okay, and I have to ask you this question. Does the color of that clothing that you're wearing make a difference to a mosquito?
It does. So dark clothing is tends to be more preferred by mosquitoes. Dark clothing absorbs more heat, which is what they're looking for. That's what they sense for to find a food source. So bright clothing can reflect heat more easily.
That is fascinating, and I had no idea. I'm so glad I asked you that question. I want to follow up too on the drained part of the 4Ds. Stagnant water. Tell me about what that problem is, and should people be concerned about their pools if they have an outdoor pool?
You don't have to be concerned about your pools as long as you have an active filtration. So just because the water isn't clear doesn't mean it's stagnant. Just because there's algae doesn't mean it's stagnant. Just because it's not moving doesn't mean that it's stagnant. Stagnant water is what happens when uh, grass, other organic materials break down in the water and they create food for the larvae to eat, and that's what creates stagnant water. It's decay and it's a lot of stink. You will smell stagnant water. It has a specific odor. It's very strong. It's very unpleasant. But if you have a swimming pool and you have an active filtration, which by code of City of Irving you're supposed to anyways, um, as long as that pump is going, as long as there's filtering, it's going to be absolutely fine. You shouldn't worry about stagnant water unless you are perpetuating, if you've got leaves falling in your pool and you have no pump, that's going to create a buildup, but it takes a while. Um, and the city is doing everything we can, myself especially. We work on stagnant water and getting that taken care of to prevent those. mosquito breeding sites.
Excellent. This is great information, Andrew. Thank you for it. The city has a mosquito hotline, and we'll put that number on the screen. When should someone call that number?
Someone should call that number anytime they have a question about mosquitoes. That can be easily answered. We'll call back as soon as possible. Someone should call when there is a stagnant water concern at their neighbors or in their front yard. If they have tested positive from a doctor, Dallas County is supposed to notify us anyway. But if they want to be proactive and send us, documented proof from a licensed medical professional that they have West Nile virus, that's when they should call. Unfortunately, Texas just is a state where there are high mosquito population numbers. There is a threshold for which that, we'll go out and determine, okay, we'll need to spray. But a lot of the time we try to go for the larvicide approach, which isn't chemical based. It tends to be more natural. And that tends to work, the preventative measures. Someone should call if they want mosquito dunk products for their own purposes. If they're worried about standing water in their yard, we do have free larvicides that the public can use that are safe to use and be held and are not dangerous to the environment or pets or any other types of animals. And we do have mosquito repellent. So if they're worried about that and they just have any questions about mosquitoes, give us a call. We're happy to answer.
That's great that we're seeing so many ways to be proactive from the viewer level, but very much from the city's response. Before I let you go, can you talk us a little bit about how many traps there are and what's done with the samples?
Yeah. There are 57 trap locations across the city. We trap 19 at a time, so we're on a tri-weekly schedule where we'll hit every area. When those samples get to us, our wonderful technician takes them over to the Dallas County Mosquito Prevention Center, where they are identified and sent off to a Dallas County laboratory, tested for West Nile, and then those results are given back to us. And from there, we evaluate the population numbers per trap area. We evaluate whether or not West Nile is prevalent in that trap area, and then we determine what kind of action needs to be taken, whether it's preventative larvicides or if there is positive West Nile or if there is extremely high burst in population numbers to the thousands of a trap. That's when we'll go and conduct spraying with prior notification given to Irving residents.
It's very good to hear. Andrew, thank you so much for the information that you've shared with us today, and we appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm glad to give it.
Thank you. Find spraying schedules and more prevention tips at irvingfightsthebite.org.